Hello, I'm Yasmin from Jack Jewelry. In this tutorial, I would like to show you how to sketch faceted stones. Let's start by creating the outline of the gems. First, an oval. Then a round. And finally, a pear shape. I will now add the simplified facet pattern. These 3 stones will be brilliant cuts. So, the facets are finished. The next stones will be step cuts. I will start with an emerald cut. So I create this rectangle without the corners. Then I connect the chamfered corners. That's typical for an emerald cut. Create the table, which is parallel to the girdle. So it looks exactly the same, just smaller. That's it. The next one will be a square baguette. Just a square with another smaller square inside. I connect the corners. Next step is to add the light source and the bisecting lines. This will help us to locate the highlight. So on the crown, I add the reflected highlight. On the table, the refracted highlight. Make sure it's nicely blended. And it's the same for every stone. Here we go. Next step, I will locate the culet. And here, the emerald cut, as it is elongated, has a keel instead of a culet. Then I start the pavilion reflections. They radiate from the culet. And don't add too many. Normally like 4 or 5 are enough, depending on the size of the stone. Same for the round stone. The pear shape, and you see the pear shape doesn't have the culet in the center. The simple square baguette. It's like cross-shaped, the pavilion reflection. And the emerald cut is also slightly different as it is a step cut. So you see these lines here. Now, to give the stone more depth, I also will make some of the facets dark. So the emerald cut has 1 dark facet. The brilliant cuts have 2 dark facets opposite side of the light source. And the baguette on the bottom doesn't have any. The reason why I don't add any to the baguette is it would make the stone far too dark. And now the white pen. So let's add some sparkle with it. The 3 facets towards the light source I will color in white. Then I will add some white pavilion reflections, similar to the dark ones, just in a different location, but they also radiate from the culet. And again, don't add too many. Yeah, that's enough. I'm using exactly the same method on the round stone. The 3 white facets towards the light source on the crown, and the white pavilion reflections. And now the pear shape. It works exactly the same way. So the emerald cut is a little bit different. It has 1 white facet towards the light source, 1 pavilion reflection opposite side of the light source on the table, and a few white lines. Just add some sparkle to the stone. Then the square baguette has 2 white facets. So I paint the 2 white facets that are facing the light source purely white. And I add 1 pavilion reflection opposite side the light source and a few lines. Now the 2 facets between the white and the dark ones I also color in white pencil. Just brightens up the stone. And then I also add more reflected and refracted highlight. I just make this a little bit stronger. And the stone will look a little bit brighter this way. Same for the step cuts. Okay, and now the final step. I will clean up the stone. That means I will outline the girdle in black again. Also some or all of the facets. I add a little bit of shading on the table towards the light source to increase the depth of the stone. I'm finishing the round stone exactly in the same way. And of course, I will also clean up the pear. Now the step cuts. And you see the emerald cut, let's say, is not cut perfectly. So by outlining it again, I can clean up some of the facets as well and make it a little bit straighter and cleaner. Yeah, that looks a little bit better, but don't forget it's just a sketch, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Now the square baguette. And here they are. And normally I wouldn't do that, but just for this tutorial I add a little bit of a cast shadow opposite side of the light source. It just makes the drawing look a little bit more interesting and nicer, but I would never do that if the stones are set in jewelry. And here's the final sketch. Thank you for watching. Bye bye!